What is going on, guys? Today I'm going to be ranking the different types of Nen, not based on how powerful I think they are, because with the exception of specialists, I think that depending on who's using them and how they're being used, they all can be more powerful than each other or less. But I want to talk about if I was able to choose which type of Nen user I would rank them in this particular order. I'm not going to include specialists in this list because, I mean, first of all, obviously I'd want to be a specialist. Who wouldn't want to be a specialist? But additionally, it's like, it could be absolutely anything. You don't even know what that means necessarily. So it's like, what are we even really talking about? So I'm just going to keep specialists out of this list. Also, if you cannot tell, I do actually have a cold, so I might sound a little bit different. Apologies for that. So at the bottom of my list at number 5, I have Conjures. I feel like Conjures are just a less good version of Transmuters. They basically are able to just create something, right? And then Transmuters can also kind of just create something. They are supposed to be able to turn their Nen into something else, but I mean, at the end of the day, they're kind of just creating something, where it's like with Transmuters, you can turn it into lightning or something, or even something creative such as Hisoka's Bungee Gum ability. However, with Conjures, it's like, okay, you can create an object that isn't necessarily extremely powerful, and then what? I mean, what are you gonna do, make a sword? Now, I do understand that a difference and advantage that Conjures actually have over Transmuters is that they are able to give their weapons or whatever they create some kind of ability. However, I don't really know what the limits to that are. I mean, Kurapika seems to be pretty powerful, but it also is kind of ultra specific, so I think they are really cool for sure. I have said in the past that I think that Hunter x Hunter has the best shonen battle system of all time, but at the end of the day, something had to be on the bottom, and my personal preference is definitely not leaning towards Conjure. At number 4, I have Emitters. It was pretty tough for me to decide between putting this one at 4 or 5, but I decided that I do like Emitters more because it's cool that they actually get to project things from their body. It's better than just creating something lame. They both have the ability to give their either conjured items or whatever they're emitting some kind of special properties as well, so I do think that that is pretty cool. Once again, though, I really don't know what the limitations of that are. I guess they theoretically could be unlimited, probably, if you're good enough. I mean, that seems to be kind of how Nen works. If you are passionate enough or you are dedicated enough to your training, you could basically do anything you want with Nen, which is pretty cool. But I am not 100% sure on the limitations of that, and even if they were unlimited theoretically, I don't know if I would be able to give it the number 3 spot, because I think that's when things really start heating up with Nen. Coming in at number 3, I have Manipulators. Manipulator abilities seem really straightforward at first, but then once you get to the higher levels, it's like unbelievably confusing exactly how they work. Like, do they just have unlimited power? At the highest of levels, it would appear that if they meet some kind of condition, such as a particular object that they have makes contact with someone, then they just have like absolute control over that person. It seems a little ridiculous, and I'm wondering if that is dependent on how powerful the target actually is. That alone already seems insane enough, but then we get to see later on that Shalnark actually hits himself with his object and then becomes some super overpowered demon lord or something. I mean, I was just like, okay, well, I guess this is happening now. I don't know if everyone can do that, if that's something that like only he can do perhaps, but it is a pretty overpowered ability for sure. I feel like he kind of just slipped up and got caught by something significantly less powerful than him, so I don't know how powerful that really was. Like, what if he was able to use that ability against Uvogin or something? I don't know if he'd be able to match up, so, but it is pretty cool nonetheless. While that is all fun and cool, I actually prefer the more simple concept of just being able to manipulate objects around you, such as what Shoot seems to be doing. So I know that that doesn't really sound that cool, but I think it seems really cool. It seems like telekinesis to me, which is like the coolest superpower ever. So that's basically why I have Manipulators at number 3. At number 2, I have Transmuters. The versatility of Transmuters is off the charts. I mean, we have people like Killua turning their Nen into electricity, so he's like a thunder god. And then we have really weird stuff like Hisoka's Bungee Gum, which, okay, that sounds like not that useful at first, but then you see how he is able to creatively weave that ability into basically any combat situation whatsoever. Like, seriously consider what he does is he just changes his Nen into a substance that has the properties of both rubber and gum. And he has like the coolest fights in the entire series. How awesome is that? The biggest drawback that I see for transmuters is it appears, at least as far as I've seen, that when a transmuter comes up with something, that's basically all they use. I mean, Killua has his electricity because he kind of is almost immune to electricity, so he does that, and Hisoka seems to really only be using his bungee gum. So I don't know if that is a true limitation, but it does seem to be one, at least as far as I've seen, and while they still are awesome, that is an amazing ability to have. I do find that a little bit lame, so I could not quite give it the #1 spot. So then, of course, speak of the devil, the #1 spot goes to Enhancers. I know I'm basically the lamest person ever because I seriously picked Enhancers as my favorite, but I mean, what can I say? If I had to pick one of these, I would want to be an Enhancer. I really like the idea of just the straightforwardness of it. It just makes you have a super high defense and a super high offense. I don't have to really do anything creative about it. When I do things, I like to just brute force my way through. I don't like to really think or be creative because I suck, right? I'm not a creative person, so I like to just brute force my way through things. I also very much like the concept of something with just a ridiculously high level of tankiness. I think that's kind of what I would lean towards more. Of course, I would like to increase my offensive capabilities, but I would prefer to have a massive amount of time and training dedicated to my defensive capabilities. Uvagin really kind of made that point of how effective that can be, and I just loved it. Every time he did anything, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. So that pretty much wraps up this list. If you made it this far in the video, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Remember to leave me a comment letting me know what you thought about this video, if you enjoyed it, if you did not. I haven't done a Hunter x Hunter video in quite some time, so this was pretty refreshing for me. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys have an excellent rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.